Here we go. Friday show. Appreciate you. OVE podcast going on a Friday. Solo Cup Friday. Sam, you drinking?
Not yet, man. I'm still getting over this flu.
Oh, no drinking.
Nervous.
Well,
Nervous.
Nervous for what?
To drink.
Oh, gotcha.
Been a few days, and I'm on the meds, man. I don't know that it's going to help much.
What meds you
on? Basically the Dayquil, NyQuil.
Oh, okay. So not like
combo, whether it's actually NyQuil or like I just took some Mucinex day.
Mucinex works, man.
That's trying to get some of the stuff out of my face.
Exactly. We are the OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. The Torg, you could hear me, QFM 96. He's Sam Grooms. Remember, subscribe, like, follow, share, and comment. And if you read on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, we are doing something really cool from now until the spring game. When you subscribe to the new YouTube channel, youtube.com @Ohio versus everyone, you are in a drawing for a mini helmet signed by 6 iconic Buckeyes. JT Barrett, Cardell Jones, Joe Germain, Craig Krenzel, Rex Kern, and Braxton Miller, I believe, is the 6th guy. 6 iconic Buckeye quarterbacks with a Beckett stamp of approval to you. And all you have to do is subscribe while we're broadcasting live. We start at 2:30 with the countdown, 3 o'clock with the show. Subscribe, let us know who you are. And from now until the spring game, we will put you in. So we want your comments as well. So keep it going. Today's poll question, Sam, in honor of Jim Tressel. Kind of. I was thinking coaches. Like, what made Jim Tressel a good coach, and which former Buckeye without coaching experience would make the best head coach? Which Buckeye out there without any head coaching experience would make the best head coach?
Head coaching experience is the key there? Okay.
No head coaching experience.
No coaching. Okay.
No coaching experience. So Joey Galloway would be a good one. You know who would be a bad one? Chris Spielman, because he has coaching experience.
Are we counting the Arena Football League?
We are counting the Arena Football League, baby.
Does it have to be head coaching experience?
No, you can't have any coaching experience.
No coaching experience at all.
Okay, I don't care if you do high school, right? I don't really care.
Well, the guy in mind that I have in mind that I think would be a great head coach and is currently climbing the NFL ladder to do so. So if we're saying you can't have any coaching experience at all, I got to find a new one.
No, that's too easy. You got to find a guy who you just think on the field would be a good head coach. He was so smart that he'd be a good head coach. Like, I think a guy like James Laurinaitis would be an easy thing because I think James is going to be a head coach at some point. But I don't.
But he currently has coaching experience, so you can't pick him. Right?
So you can't do that. How great last night. And by the way, we want comments right now on this. Are you watching the Four Nations face-off? Are you into it? Because I tell you what, last night was a different level of hockey. Team USA wanted it bad. Right away, opening minute, man, they're getting into a little scrum where they're putting their gloves in each other's faces and getting physical. Man, that was a physical game last night. That was playoff level hockey last night.
So you can kind of watch having 2 different games, I guess, to compare it to. Having watched the Sweden-Canada game on Wednesday evening and then being able to watch the U.S.-Finland game last night. U.S. came into the game last night heavily favored to beat Finland and kind of got off to a slow start, but you and I were texting and you could kind of see the wheels starting to grind for the United States, started getting a lot of second, third shot opportunities. And then I think the second goal was that tip play from the what ended up being a pass from the blue line, and they ran away from there. I think having watched and being able to compare Canada and the United States, who I would imagine are probably the favorites, and play tomorrow night at 8 o'clock while I'll be at a rodeo with my kid, thank God. So don't anybody tell me what happens. I'm going to record it. But
I'm going to text you.
You better not. I'll kill you. I will kill you. You could see the differences in the game style. Obviously, all 4 teams are they've got a ton of talent. They're talent laden across the board. But I think what the United States is going to separate themselves from Canada is they got the Kachuk brothers, and all they want to do is cause chaos. Like all they want to do is get in your face and hit you. So if Canada doesn't, if they're able to get the wheels spinning and they're able to get moving and not get mired down in the Kachuk brothers trying to bring the talent level down to the United States, I think Canada runs away with it. Although their Achilles heel is goaltending. Not very good right now in Canada.
No, it's not. And we have good goaltending. We've historically had good goaltending. I mean, think of Mike Richter. So let us know in the comments, are you into the Four Nations face-off? Because you might not be into hockey, but you're not into U.S. competition, USB. I'm into this. Anytime U.S. plays hockey after the Miracle on Ice, I'm all in. I remember back in 1984, and I was super, super young. The 1984 U.S. Olympic team, it was such a big deal. I remember nothing about the 1980 U.S. Olympic team. I was so young, don't even remember. But the 84 Olympic team had this kid named Pat LaFontaine on it. And everybody was talking about him in elementary school, on the news. Everybody was talking about this kid. They came in for an exhibition game in the Met Center against the Montana Magic, and I think they were an AHL team. And I was so devastated as a kid because the Montana Magic beat them like 3-2. I was like, but we won the gold. Miracle on Ice, 84 Olympic team. This is and I don't know if it was the final team or just like the final 40 or whatever, or the final 28, but USA lost to the Montana Magic, and it broke my heart. I love international hockey. I love beating communists, Russia. Czechs are communists? They are now. And
no, they used to be. They used to be commies. Now they're you said the Czechs? Yeah, they've changed their name again, but I don't think they're commies.
Okay, and I like beating communists like the Canadians. So
they are communists.
I can't stand Canada, your little bitches. Now, the people I like the people, but the people who live in the United States. Canadians are bitches. They whine. They complain. They talk about how much better they are than everyone else. You're better than no one. You are, and we're going to prove it on the ice Saturday night when we beat you like the bitches you are. Because we will. So are you into the Four Nations face-off? Give us a comment right now. Let's go. I'm just into it. I am into international competition. You know what I'm not into, Sam? Is the World Baseball Classic.
See, I like the World Baseball Classic.
I don't care.
All right, so I think it might have been the last time I was in Phoenix, and I want to come back to the hockey thing, but I think what the NHL is currently doing is going to potentially seep into the other three major pro sports.
Yeah.
But I went to Arizona for our spring training trip, and we actually got to see the U.S. play Canada in where the Diamondbacks play. I think it was Bank One at the time.
Yeah, yep.
Pretty cool ballpark. Joey Votto was playing for Canada. It was a good time. I enjoyed it.
How bad did Canada get their ass kicked?
They got to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Aside from Joey Votto, name me another Canadian baseball player.
I can't. Danny Ainge.
I follow the sport.
Is Danny Ainge Canadian? No, he's not.
Danny Ainge is a basketball player, isn't he?
No, he played for the Blue Jays.
Oh. So here's what I think, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think football is kind of a different animal, so I don't know that they can really do this. But do you think the other sports are going to take note on this and see the success the NHL is having and see how much harder the players play and enjoy an event like this than they do an all-star game? Because the NHL's already come out and said what they're going to do is have this type of international competition the off year of the Olympics. So you're basically only going to see an all-star game every other year, but then the other off years you're going to see whether it's a World Cup or a Four Nations competition like's going on right now. And I think this is going to be good not only for the game but for viewership in the United States because you get to watch legit all-star teams play with some actual passion.
Mike Wilbon talked about it the other day, how the NBA should do away with their all-star game and follow suit with the NHL. I absolutely agree. There's enough international competition where you can have a 4-team. It doesn't have to be an 8-team tournament and it goes crazy. I know they're doing the World Cup in 2028. I think the NHL is doing the Olympics, allowing players to finally go to the Olympics. I think they realize that it's good exposure for the sport. Now, the World Cup, that's going to be 8 teams. It's going to be a little longer, probably a little bit busier, right? But the NBA, if they did a 4 nations tip-off, who would you put? You'd probably put Spain, France, the United States, Germany, someone like that, Spain.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously
do that. I mean, or where Jokic, where does he go? Where is he from?
Was he Latvian or something like that? Maybe I'm not sure where Jokic is from.
But you could put him in, right?
Absolutely. You could probably, he's Serbian, by the way. You could also probably break it down to like directional Europe, right? Where you could have like a Central European team, a Eastern European team, so on and so forth. That way they could comprise, really good rosters based upon the players from that region.
I can't believe the NHL actually has an idea that other sports would want to copy.
Yeah, I just think that tomorrow night's going to be electric. 8 o'clock. They're playing in Montreal, I believe, tomorrow night. So Canada's got essentially a home game. That barn's going to be loud. I'm curious. Like I said, I'm going to record it because I'm not going to be able to watch it live. But I think this is not only good for the sport. Obviously, I'm a little partial here because I'm a hockey guy. But I think it's good for the sport. And I think if other leagues are smart, they'll take notice. Because I think over the long run, you're going to see a lot more interest in games like this than these all-star. I don't even want to call it a game. It's more like a festivity at this point.
I would say this might be one of the rare times, and I never count the outdoor games. And I think that Gary Bettman really dropped the ball with his January 1st outdoor game from the standpoint there's bowl games on, and you never own the day, right? This is a rare weekend in sports where NHL owns the weekend, where they own the weekend and they own the next week, where they own it. We have never been able to say that in the NHL probably since Wayne Gretzky played, where the NHL owns what's going on in the sports world. Now, does that mean every sports show is going to talk about this? Probably not. But when you talk about excitement in an event, there's no better event outside of Sam's Rodeo he's going to this weekend. There's no bigger event going on right now than the 4-nation face-off. Comment if you think so. Or what is better right now going on in sports than the 4 nations face-off? Give us a comment, because I don't think there's anything going on that even comes close.
I feel like right now we're in that lull between the end of the football season and spring, like baseball starting, right? You have this like 2-month period where the NHL could absolutely own this time period if they wanted to. We're seeing, I would say NHL viewership or interest is probably growing. It's just such a small number that it's nominal. But you're seeing a regression in viewership domestically of the NBA. This is their opportunity to go out and kind of grab that viewer. I don't think it's going to happen until they replace Gary Bettman, but that's another story for another day.
But credit to Bettman for finally realizing a few million a year per team isn't the best thing for the sport, and going back to ESPN is. At least I have to give props to people who realize they made a mistake and then they move on. Gary Bettman realized leaving from ESPN was a huge mistake, and he swallowed his pride. He wanted to prove to ESPN, we'll go on Versus, and we'll go on Fox with the glowing puck, and we'll go on NBC, and it all sucked.
Speaking of Fox, by the way, and I hate to keep going on these tangents. So originally the outdoor game, the Blue Jackets game, the what are they called? Stadium Series.
Yeah.
Was going to be broadcast on WB, channel 53, I believe. So, anybody with a digital box could watch the game. But I don't know if you saw this. Big Boy Fox picked the game up, which to me, that is a good sign.
Yeah.
They absolutely should. So I think they've failed in one regard in this game. A few years ago, the Detroit Red Wings, I believe, hosted the Maple Leafs in the Winter Classic at the Big House. They set the record for largest crowd. The Outhouse, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they set the record for the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest crowd to watch an outdoor game. Ohio State and the Blue Jackets in the NHL should have made it about beating that record, making sure you get 100,000 plus in the stadium to say we are better than Michigan yet again. They haven't done it. I think that is a lost opportunity, an opportunity to put more butts in seats, create more buzz around the game. But, what do I know? We're just idiots on a podcast.
No, yeah, you're right. I don't know. I think if you're going to try to, it's marketing. I mean, you got to market. There's some sports who market their product really good, NBA, and there's some sports that market their product poorly, and that's the NHL. I think the NHL markets their product on a local level really good. I think the NHL, when you go team to team, and I've worked in a bunch of markets that have a hockey team, the local teams do a really good job of marketing their product. But the sport as a whole, they don't. Right? Connor McDavid should be everywhere this week. They should be contacting the NHL. Should say, Connor McDavid, you are going to be in this hotel room with a representative, and we'll give you water and food and whatever you want for 2 hours. And we're going to contact Pat McAfee show, and you're going to do a hit. We're going to contact Dan Patrick, and you're going to do a hit. We're going to contact Fox News. Fox News has the ratings, right? I mean, my morning.
Game, you mean?
No. Fox News has good ratings.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, way better than dude, my morning show. This is not a joke. Would be the highest rated show on CNN. Call Fox News. Put them on Fox News, right? And have Connor McDavid talk about the four-nation face-off with media outlets for 2 hours. Get your biggest star in front of the TV. And you know what? If you're worried about stardom, maybe people don't know who Connor McDavid is, then get Sidney Crosby in a different room and have Sidney do it at the same time. Start promoting your sport it's a great sport. If you watched last night, you do not have to be a huge hockey fan to realize fast pace, nastiness, good goals, high skill. What is not to like?
Well, and you mentioned Pat McAfee. McAfee loves the NHL. He has found the NHL and is openly promoting it. So, to your point, take advantage of that. Ride that wave. I think, part of the problem, your biggest star in the league right now is Connor McDavid, and he's in Edmonton. Not exactly a thriving metropolis, but you also have multiple other players. Nate McKinnon out in Colorado. Sidney Crosby, you mentioned, he's been in the league for about 15 years now, I believe. You have Zach Werenski here in Columbus, by the way, had 3 dimes last night. Looked good.
He did.
You've got plenty of faces and names in this league that you can go out and promote at much better than you currently are. The world is shrinking in that regard. Like the approach, whether it's through social media or just the infrastructure, I guess, of social media has grown to such a level that it is not hard to get out there and market, and the NHL, for whatever reason, continues to drop the ball.
Did you happen to see, I think is it the Urban Meyer podcast, or is it just like Fox Sports podcast? Like Rob Stone, and then they have Urban on, and they have Mark Ingram. Now, Mark Ingram, to me, when it comes to broadcasters, there are clowns, Desmond Howard, Gronk, Terry Bradshaw, Charles Woodson, right? Don't you think those guys, if I'm missing a clown, give me a comment. But to me, it's Desmond, Charles Woodson, Gronk, Terry Bradshaw, complete clown shows. Like, don't know much, not there for their sports take, more known for being stupid than giving you sports takes, right? If I'm missing someone, give me a comment. I think the next level of clowndom is Mark Ingram.
I think Mark Ingram's problem is he tries too hard.
Yes.
He's trying to be the entertainment when it doesn't come natural to him.
No.
I think he might be one of those guys that actually knows the game. He could be a good analyst, but he's not there to be that. He's there to be entertainment, and it does not come natural for him. That's the problem.
Yeah, he's trying to be too cool.
Yeah. He's trying to be something he's not.
Yeah.
Which, that's not a knock on him. It just is what it is. That's what I observe.
Mark Ingram on that Fox Sports college football playoff, without hesitation, by the way, said that Texas is the team to beat. Arch Manning coming in, Sark, what he's been able to do with that program since taking over, they are going to win it. And they'll get whoever they want in the spring portal. By the way, Mark Ingram, I'm going to just bring this up. I'm going to bring this up, and it's not just a Mark Ingram thing. It is a people in college football thing. Someone explained to me what Sark has done. Ever.
That was gonna be my point. To me, he's Southern James Franklin with a drinking problem.
Well, I think a former drinking problem. What?
No, you're always an addict, are you not? That's what I'm told.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not one. Franklin at least won a big game. I'm trying to figure out which game Sark has won. I think Franklin's won in like 15 against top 10 teams. I think he's won once. I don't think Sark has ever won a game. What he's done with this program, placed second in the SEC on a down year? And then the only two tough teams he played against in the SEC, he got I'm going to say handed to him the first time. Second time was a close game, but Carson Beck was out. But Sark has accomplished nothing. How can anyone come in and go, oh, Texas is my pick? How could you say that a coach who has accomplished nothing is the pick?
I think you could go a step further, and I didn't realize this until this year. When people spoke of Texas football, I always kind of thought they were a blue blood and held them in high reverence. And then I realized they won that championship in, was it 2005?
Ricky Williams.
They won 4 championships in their existence. Don't get me wrong, that's better than 1 or 2. But I would have thought, and with the regard that we speak of Texas football, that for as long as this program's been around with the recruiting hotbed and the amount of money that goes into this program, they would have had more success than they've had in their existence. So I understand potentially where Mark Ingram is coming. I would want to break down, especially defensively, who's coming back on that defense, who's going pro. But until Texas does it, until a Sark-led team does it, I don't know that I'm going out on a limb or putting any soft-earned dollars on that team to win anything of substance. Excuse me.
You look at Sark with Washington before he got the USC job: 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, 7-6, 8-4, 34-29. Went to USC 9-4, 3-2, Sitco, ding ding, 12-6. Texas 5-7, 8-5, 12-2, better, 13-3 for 38-17, and a total combined record of 84-52. 84-52, by the way, taking over in coaching Washington, USC, and Texas. And he's 84-52 at 2 really good programs. Should be. Lincoln Riley is not good, but 2 really good programs. USC off of the sanctions when he took over, ready to roll, and 5-7, 8-5, good the last 2 years. But I don't see it. Now Texas will win this year because Arch Manning, they have talent, but I don't see how you could say without hesitation Texas is the best.
Can we also maybe
pump the brakes? You know who is? You're going to lose your mind when I tell you who the front runner is. You ready to lose your mind? Penn State, without a doubt. The problem is James Franklin. But without a doubt, Penn State should be the front runner for the national championship.
Can we also pump the brakes just a tad on Arch Manning? You saw what Texas was running out there as their starting quarterback this year, and they were still reluctant to name Arch Manning the starter over that. Can we maybe just pump the brakes just a touch, thinking that this guy's going to come in and lead Texas to the promised land in his first year being a head starter when he wasn't good enough to beat out what they were running out at starting quarterback?
Well, in fairness, they were 12-2 the year before, right? He was a incumbent starter, and I don't think you are going to. And listen, Quinn Ewers had a down year this year, right? But last year he was good. There was a lot of chatter in the offseason, Sam, that if Quinn Ewers was even better than he was the year before, that Quinn Ewers was going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, that's factual. Like, he had a crap year. He can sling the ball, man. Quinn Ewers but at that point, though, when you're winning games, they're not going to replace Quinn Ewers with Arch Manning ever last year. They just weren't. You can't do that as a program. You can't.
They're talking about the media and everybody in sport right now are talking about like this guy's like he's the second coming. All I'm saying is maybe he is talented, but if he was as good as everyone talks about him being, he wouldn't have been starting behind Quinn Ewers last year. That's my only point. So let's just calm down. Let's not crown the guy just yet. Let's see what he's able to do. He got a big first start coming up. That's all I know.
You know what? He has the advantage. Here's his advantage, Sam.
Peyton and Eli.
There you go. And Grandpa and even his daddy Cooper. That is the reason why he's talked about. Are you believing the Arch Manning hype? Shoot us a comment. I almost want to give out I'm so radio trained that I almost want to give out our phone number and the text line.
You can give your phone number out.
I can give
I've been getting enough shit calls from nonprofits and Hillsdale College, and I got a weird one last night from somewhere that I don't know if it's because I changed phone carriers or what, but some business funding Ohio, like it's driving me nuts.
All right, we're going to come back in 60 seconds, answer the poll question. Which former, can it be current Buckeye? Mine's a current. He's going to be a former Buckeye. Which former current Buckeye without coaching experience would make the best head coach? All right. And all right, if you've listened to Menace on Sports, we're still part of the Menace Army. We just have a new channel. They have been experiencing shit talking from Michigan fans. I didn't want to go on the air with this, but we were attacked by a Michigan podcast. They watched our podcast. They sent me an email. We talk about, you can email the show, the OVE podcast at gmail.com. I asked Zach, me and Sam were on a call with Zach last night, just talking about the podcast. And I asked Zach, should I talk about this Michigan podcast calling us out? And he said, absolutely. I said, should I read the email? He says, absolutely. So when we come back, there has been a Michigan podcast who sent me an email about this podcast, talking shit and talking about you, the listeners and the viewers of this podcast. We are back in 60 seconds on the OVE podcast.
We go to war for you.
At Schuerger Trial Attorneys, we don't back down. Accident? Call us today at 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com for a free consultation. Know your rights because results matter. That's 877-WAR-FOR-YOU. 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com.
War for you, warforyou.com.
Denrob Management has over 40 years experience in all aspects of payroll, processing checks, tax filing, W-2 and 1099 preparation. First-time customers get 50% off their first 3 months processing fees. Give them a call now, 614-297-1158 or denrobmanagement.com. We are the OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. I'm the Torg. You hear me mornings, QFM 96. He's Sam Grooms. Ohio versus everyone. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, Blue Jackets, Cavs, Guardians, Reds, Buckeye hoops, all the national stuff. I want you to subscribe, like, follow, share, and comment on the show. Giving away from now until the spring game. Check this out because I have a picture of it. Look at this autographed helmet. I was wrong about a player. It's J.T. Barrett, Troy Smith, Rex Kern, Craig Krenzel, Joe Germain, and who is that middle one? Who's number 16 there?
J.T. Barrett, isn't it?
J.T. Barrett. And number 12 is Cardell Jones. So it's Cardell Jones, J.T. Barrett, Krenzel, Joe Germain, Troy Smith, and Rex Kern. And not Rex. So take a look at that, man. And what we are doing is we want you to subscribe to the show while we are on. Subscribe to the show. Let us know your name. And then you are in for that awesome mini helmet. Now, do you want me to read this email?
No, hang on. I want to real quick. I don't know. And I want to give a shout out. I don't know if you spoke about it this week. Speaking of Ohio State quarterbacks, did you see Jim Corsados pass away earlier this week?
We did the entire show on it. We talked about how we took comments on which Buckeye quarterback was your guy growing up.
Gotcha.
And we did a lot of comments on that of like, just, hey, let us know who you grew up with, like the first quarterback you watched as a kid.
Gotcha.
Who was it? And we got some Rex Kearns.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wide
Impressive.
demographic we have there, don't we?
Exactly. A lot of Bobby Hoynes.
I met Jim. He was kind of in the same industry I'm in. Worked with him for a little bit. Super nice guy. That was honestly not pleasant news to hear. So to his family, condolences, and that's tough, man.
Yeah, we talked about how people are hurting. I talked about my Tommy Kramer story. My guy Tommy Kramer's not going to live long. He's got dementia, not doing good. And it hurts when you lose the quarterback you started watching growing up. It hurts, man, especially in Buckeye Nation. Speaking of Buckeye Nation, I wasn't going to mention this, but we talked to Zach. Zach is getting a lot of shit, and now, truth be told, we were on the Menace to Sports channel. We are on a smaller channel, and we are growing it, and we want you to watch, subscribe, like, follow, share, because we are going to get super chats. It's all about watch hours, live watch hours, by the way. And so if we get a certain amount of live watch hours, we then will qualify for the super chat. Now, we could qualify, truth be told, we could qualify now, but when we started this new channel, we broadcast on two different channels. We were on Menace to Sports, and we were on this channel on YouTube. And what happened is YouTube flagged us and said, you have to delete everything, and you cannot apply for the super chat feature again until you get a certain amount of watch hours. And we've only had 9 episodes. 9 episodes on the new channel. We hit the subscriber criteria like in 3 days. The criteria is 1,000 subscribers. I think we have 2,200 or something like that, right? But we have to get watch hours. So Zach is getting harassed by Michigan fans for some reason. So I got emailed this because we talk about the email. I have an email, the OVE podcast at gmail.com. I said, hey, if you want to do the podcast when Sam's out, email me, man. I'll put you on and we'll do a podcast together. Not full time. You just fill in when Sam's gone. And I get this email, and these people, or whoever sent it to me, dumber than me, worse grammar than me. Okay? This is how it starts. Punk ass bitches. You are dank like your football team. You suck. The best you can do on your lame ass show is 47 likes. Ya, Y-A, ain't shit. Your podcast sucks. We own you. 5-0 this season, baby. Go Blue from the Big M podcast. I don't know who the Big M podcast is. I don't give a shit. But it's embarrassing to me when they are talking shit to us. It's embarrassing, Sam. I'm embarrassed. So let's hopefully get over 47 likes today. So I don't know what's satisfactory in the like category, but it's becoming I haven't responded yet, but I don't think I can. We've only been doing this 9 days. I haven't found their podcast yet. Now, I just Googled it. Maybe if I go to YouTube, maybe the Big M podcast is there. I don't even want to promote these guys for you to watch. But I think the Menace Militia, they're the Menace Army. We're the Menace Militia. I think we have something going on right now. I think we have a little feud.
So also, in addition to the likes, which we should all be doing anyway, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Even if you are here every day, make sure you subscribe. And guess what? Be a friend, tell a friend. Trying to grow the platform. We're trying to grow this show. Everybody watching, we appreciate it. Super chats, likes, but make sure we're subscribed as well.
Is dank still a thing? I'm reading this email, and it's you are dank like your football team. Yeah, ain't shit. Yeah. You, I don't know. I don't know.
Not in my world. I remember saying, it was within the last 2 years. I remember I was in public, not on a podcast, not just hanging out, not talking with a friend. It was somebody I just met, didn't know, might have been like at a grocery store. And I caught myself saying, nah. And I wanted to punch myself straight in the scrotum. I'm like, what the hell just came out of your mouth?
I want to punch you too for even
Jesus.
admitting that. Don't admit that, dude.
What a dope.
Don't admit that. Today's poll question is, you could follow us on Facebook. We put up the poll question early in the morning, and you could chime in on Facebook. Which former, or I guess current, we're going to allow current because mine's current. Which former or current Buckeye without coaching experience would make the best head coach? Give us your comments.
So my original pick was going to be JT Barrett because I think the guy's literally groomed for it. I mean, that's what he had the leadership. He understands offense, but can't because he's already coaching. So I'm going to go with
he's not coaching right now, but yes.
Yeah, he is. He's coaching in the NFL. He just got a promotion.
No, you said before, who did you pick for that?
JT Barrett is who I can't pick, would pick, but can't pick due to the criteria of this question. So I'm gonna pivot to the biggest alpha that I know in a room full of alphas. When this guy walks in the room, everybody knows he is the alpha, and that is Andy Katzenmoyer.
Ooh.
That's my pick.
All right. The problem with Andy, and I'm friends with Andy. We bet on
You can tell him the problem with Andy. I'm staying the hell out of that.
What problem? What problem with Andy?
I'm joking. It was a joke.
Oh, the problem with Andy though is the personality. Is Andy's a really nice guy, like a super nice guy, super cool. I don't think he likes the public. Like I'm not saying he doesn't like the public, but the public acknowledgement to be in a high profile job like that. And I don't think his personality suits being a head coach, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think he would touch it. I don't think he would want it. I just don't, you got to have a type of personality for it. I think Andy's a smart dude. I just don't know if Andy is the right from a personality style. Getting Bobby Carpenter, Harry chimes in with Bobby. James chimes in with Curtis Grant. CJ Rhodes, my guy, AJ Hawk.
I thought AJ too, but honestly, I think AJ is much like what you described Andy as. I think AJ didn't seem to be the rah-rah leader. AJ was the guys get behind me and follow me what I do kind of guy.
You're absolutely right.
And AJ's elite, like leading tackle, I believe, in Green Bay Packer history. Like that's a long storied franchise, and he's got more tackles than anybody in the history. So I don't know, man. I think either of them could be based upon their talent and knowledge of the game. And I think their personality types could work in a coaching environment. But
let us know in the comments. Now I have two. By the way, I'm going to give you the winner afterwards. I think a listener, a viewer, came up with the real winner. And I'm going to save him to the end because I think it's the best one. I had written down Bobby Hoyne. Runs a successful business, running a football team. I don't know Bobby Hoyne's personality. We have a common friend that tells me Bobby is a great dude. I think you've met Bobby, right? You know Bobby?
Oh, yeah.
You know Bobby. Does he have the personality type to be a coach?
Oh, yeah. I tell my wife Bobby and I are best friends. He just doesn't know it yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, but do you have the personality type to be a head coach?
I could.
I think you would.
I don't want the job, though.
I think you would cut everybody after a loss.
I'd fight a kid.
You would. You'd punch him in the throat. I had Bobby Hoyne, but here's my new one. Caleb Downs. I think his football.
And you know what's funny is I immediately went to him too, but then I'm like, he's playing. He's going to have a pro career. Like,
that's fine when he's done, coach, because I think his football IQ is off the charts. Now, I don't know if, you have a high football IQ. You can coach that, but who are the best baseball managers, Sam? They're the catchers, right? The smartest guys on the field are the catchers. So why not the safety who's super smart? I think Caleb Downs is super smart. I don't know if you can teach football IQ, but you can try.
Who do you think would be, aside from Caleb Downs, let's take this question a step further. Aside from Caleb Downs, who on last year's team do you think would make the best coach in the future? After hopefully a long, storied pro NFL career, who do you think would be the best coach going forward?
I'm going to give it to you, but I think he'd be a more emotional guy than I got two. They're Jack Sawyer and Will Howard. I think they both get it. I'm talking college though, not pro. I think they get the college game. I think they get the emotional connection of it as well. And I think Will is super smart. And I think Jack is too. And Jack, one thing that Jack gets is the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry, even though he didn't win. But could you imagine if Jack Sawyer developed to be a head coach at Ohio State, of the storyline of can Jack Sawyer finally beat Michigan? That would be a freaking wild ass story, wouldn't it? And think about all the hate the Michigan fans would give us for hiring a guy who never beat Michigan, right? Yeah, you're spot on. Give us a comment too from last year's team. Who would be the best future head coach?
I'm going to hit you with one more that I think would be a good one.
All
Cody
right.
Simon.
Oh, yeah.
Cody Simon won the Block O jersey this year after sitting and waiting and made the best of his opportunity. And he's playing an interior linebacker. Contrary to popular belief, those guys actually have to be smart. They are the catcher of the defense. They have to call the defense. So that would be another one I would throw in the hat as well.
Ooh, dude, that's phenomenal. I don't think I can argue. There is a winner, though. Scott Hayes is the winner. Scott Hayes chimed in on Meta, Facebook, our OVE podcast Meta page. Joshua Perry. Can't argue with that. I know Joshua a little bit. He's a smart dude, an intelligent dude, knows the game. I think he's got the temperament for the game. I think he can teach the game. Everything about him is a positive, a good family man. I just think there are guys who can teach and communicate. And Joshua Perry, not my pick because I didn't think of it. Scott Hayes did. Scott, you're spot on.
I think that'd be a good one. And truth be told, too, I heard a birdie told me one time, friend of the pod, Joshua Perry.
Yes, he does watch the pod. I can confirm that because we have talked about the podcast.
We should when he's back. I know he had a kid and they're moving back potentially from Chicago in the near future. We should get him on in the off season sometime.
Yeah, does he have a thing with Bobby's podcast?
That I don't know.
Yeah, someone mentioned Bobby. I'm friends with Bobby. So, I mean, Bobby tried to get on this podcast, right? And he got, I don't even know if I should say this. Maybe I shouldn't. Bobby tried to get on this podcast and he was denied. And I haven't followed up because I don't want to put Bobby in a difficult position. Like, we're friends. I don't want to ask him again. I wouldn't ask my friends like, hey, go fight for this dude. I'm not that type of person. Well, why do I want trouble in his life? By the way, he owes me 2 liquid lunches.
Bobby does?
Yeah, because Canal kicks the crap. We bet, this is how me and Bobby bet on everything Canal and Lancaster, right? I coached my kids' Pee Wee team this year. We bet on the game. And we won 26-6.
Watterson played Lancaster in basketball on Tuesday. We were supposed to go, but that's when the flu kicked in. But, Watterson won by 9. No big deal. He owes me a liquid lunch, even though we didn't bet on it.
A kid from Watterson injured my kid in wrestling last week.
Ooh.
Yeah, he took.
Hard to hear that.
He has. My kid's been out a week. You know those plastic helmets? I think they should be outlawed. That wrestlers.
The ear covers?
Yeah, the ear covers. It should just be foam because some kids just have foam. I think it should be foam. So this kid dove at my kid's legs, but he led with his helmet and then hit my kid's shin. And my kid has a bone bruise, and my kid couldn't walk. So we thought he had a broken leg. He still could. I don't know. We haven't gone to the doctor yet, but he's been on the shelf, and he hasn't been able to walk without a limp. But I'm not blaming the kid from Watterson. It's just I hate those stupid plastic ear covers. They shouldn't be plastic. Just do hard or foam, like Nerf foam. You could do it. You shouldn't have a weapon in a sport where you lead with your head sometimes, unless it's football. But that's because I have pads on too, though.
You see what a lot of these – I've been watching a lot of rugby lately, and a lot of these guys, what they do is they put tape around their head and then another wrap of tape around it to protect the tops of their ears. And then some guys also wear those they're like guardian caps, but they don't go over the actual helmet. They go over their head to prevent – covers the ears, obviously, but then also helps prevent concussion. I'm a little surprised they don't go to that material or just do the tape around their ears to kind of protect that way because, like you said, that hard plasticky – material can cut you up, or it just doesn't seem like seems like technology and material has evolved to the point we don't need that anymore.
No, I agree with you. You know who would be a good coach? And I was joking around with him earlier today because I sent Zach Bourne a text like, hey, dude, I've ordered 4 dumpsters from him this week. And I just sent him a text earlier, dude, I'm keeping your business alive for dumpsters. That's not true, but
I feel terrible for Zach because I have another friend, client, whatever you want to call it, named Zach, but he is ZAC. And every time I go to text him, especially with the new phone I got, auto corrects to ZACH. And so I'll go to text it, not proofread it. And then I'll go to do it. And I'll be, oh, dude, Zach, my bad. And my buddy's last name also starts with a B. So it all looks the same to me. And I go, my bad, buddy. And then I'll go to do another text and I send it to him again. I'm like, I'm going to just throw this thing through a wall. He gets like 4 or 5 straight from me.
Yeah, we can get Zach Bourne on the podcast. Let's get some comments going. Which former Buckeye player with 0 head coaching experience, coaching experience would make the best coach? Right now, the leaders in the clubhouse, probably Joshua Perry, right?
That's probably the best. I mean, he's elite. I think he's probably the leader in the clubhouse. Like I said, I think the best selection was JT Barrett, both in the leadership and the knowledge of the game, but he's already coaching, so we got to rule him out.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's got a plan to save the Bengals, and the media, I read a media article, and I think they're spot on. The Browns and Myles Garrett are going to patch this up, and I'll tell you why next on the OVE podcast. Hey, it's Torg for Custom Air. You know, when it comes to my HVAC system, I don't trust just anyone. I trust Custom Air. These guys are fast, reliable, and they know their stuff. Fall's just around the corner, and now's the perfect time to make sure your HVAC equipment is running at its best. Don't wait until it's too late. Get ahead of the game. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my home, and neither should you. Visit them on the web at customairco.com and keep your home comfortable all season long. Custom solutions, custom comfort, Custom Air. Thinking of buying or selling a home? Give Lauren Torgerson a call with NextHome Experience. Lauren has been servicing the Columbus metropolitan area for 10 years. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, considering building, want to upsize or downsize, Lauren can help you with all your real estate needs. Get a free market analysis for your area and get started working on making tomorrow's dreams happen today. Call or text Lauren at 614-296-3952, 614-296-3952, or email at togersonlauren@gmail.com. We are the OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. I'm the Torg. You can hear me mornings, QFM 96. He's Sam Grooms. Appreciate you. Poll question today. You can still comment on that. Which former, do the comments. We're not going to talk about it, but you could still do the comments and discuss. I'd like discussion between the peeps who are watching and listening. If you're on Twitter or Facebook or on YouTube, today's poll question, which former Buckeye without coaching experience would make the best head coach? Sam, I gotta, this is what's going to happen. I don't even have a solution. It is how the Browns and Myles Garrett are going to move on from this, right? First, let me throw this out because I think you were gone the day I discussed this, okay? The NFL Network reported that the Browns' targets to be the next quarterback of this team is Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones. Okay? They're going to bring one of those two guys in if Kirk Cousins gets released, which he probably will. Now, Todd McShay thinks that the second best quarterback is Jackson Dart, compares him to he called him a poor man's Drake May. But there's a lot of people in the NFL. I saw a ESPN, I think it may have been Field Yates, said the Browns would be foolish to pass on Shedeur Sanders. So, Sam, if the options are Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Shedeur Sanders, or Jackson Dart, is that enough to keep Myles Garrett? Because I think it boils down, or is Abdul Carter enough to keep? So it would be this. It would be Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, and then drafting Abdul Carter, or drafting Shedeur Sanders. Will any of those two scenarios keep Myles Garrett?
So, that's a good call. I don't know. I honestly don't. I could see both sides of this. I could see either side for the Browns, and I could see either sides for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's probably his question is going to be, or his evaluation is going to be, are we just a quarterback away? And are any of those quarterbacks going to deliver in the next, what's his window, you think? 3 years, 4 years is peak, before he really falls off a cliff? So do any of those quarterbacks deliver in the first 3 or 4 years? I think they could. My issue is
do you think Daniel Jones is really going to?
No. I was talking about more either of the Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, for example. I'm not. I think Cam Ward's got the talent. I just don't. His mindset is what bothers me a little bit there. But I don't think the Browns are just a quarterback away. That's the issue I have. I think if the Browns are able to, they're able to get a quarterback and develop him over time, I think that could set up some, if they've got a guy for the next 10 years at quarterback and they don't have to worry about it, I think that could get them to the promised land. I just don't really see a scenario in which you keep Myles Garrett at this point. You pay him the money that he's going to demand, and you're going to be able to get it right that quickly within this window of peak Myles Garrett. I really don't see how that's going to work.
The problem is that Andrew Berry, are you drafting for what's best in the organization, or are you drafting to keep Myles Garrett? Because I think that's two different things. Are you drafting for what's best for this team long term, or you're drafting for what's best for Myles Garrett, meaning now? Like, we want to keep Myles Garrett. I'm going to draft Abdul Carter. We're going to try and sign Kirk Cousins. I think Andrew Berry is too afraid to draft Shedeur Sanders because what if he fails? What if it doesn't work out? He's too afraid that he's going to lose his job if Shedeur, to me, is the reason why they wouldn't draft quarterback at number 2 is because they're afraid of getting sent to the sitco if they don't light it up his rookie year. And when you look at it, some guys, Bryce Young, it takes him a little bit. I'm not claiming Bryce Young is a polished quarterback, but didn't he look better after they benched him his second year and he came back? He looked a little better. He almost kind of beat, but they played better against Philadelphia. They won some games. It takes quarterbacks time to develop. I just think Andrew Berry's looking at these two guys and say, all right, they're not instant stars, and no one is. I mean, Josh Allen wasn't an instant star, your current MVP. So I think Andrew Berry's going to avoid that, and I think he is going to get the journeyman quarterback, and I think he's going to draft Abdul Carter. And what he's going to do, Sam, is approach Myles Garrett and say, we just drafted Abdul Carter. He's going to be on the opposite side of you. We just draft or sign Kirk Cousins, and your coach, Kevin Stefanski, was the offensive coordinator for Kirk Cousins. We got a guy who has been, last year he was hurt. Don't pay any attention. I would point out, look at the weapons he had in Minnesota, but that's not part of this conversation. He's going to say to Myles, Sam, let's redo your deal. Let's put voidable years in. Let's pay you a shitload of money this year in a bonus, right? Then we're going to stretch that bonus in voidable years down the road. And we're going to prove that we built a winner. You stay with us for this 1 year, and then we'll do your deal again after this. You'll get out. You sign and agree to this restructure that gives us cap relief and then puts a whole chunk of voidable years down, but you get money in your pocket and you're going to get paid more than what you were going to get this year. We're just going to take the cap penalties and kick it down the road, but you can get out of the deal. So it's basically a 1-year deal for Myles Garrett to stay. You get upfront money that you weren't going to have guaranteed. And the Browns are thinking, this is how they're stupid they are. We got Kirk Cousins, Abdul Carter, Myles Garrett. That's going to be good enough for us to make the playoffs. Maybe they're right. Maybe it is a competitive run where Myles Garrett at the end of the season goes, all right, we won 8-9 games. I'm feeling good. Make me the highest paid guy. Now I'll sign here. And then Andrew Berry gives him the big money. They kick the can further down the road, right? And then give Myles Garrett the $30 million plus a year. I think that is what's going to happen here. There's reports that Buffalo, Philadelphia, 2 other teams have called the Browns, and Andrew Berry we're not talking about it. So I think the Browns are dug in, Sam, where the only way my source covers the Browns told me, the only way they get this done is if they give Myles Garrett a shit ton of guaranteed money. That's the only way this gets solved.
I think the Browns' fastest path back out of the sellers of the AFC North is to sign a guy like Kirk Cousins, trade Myles Garrett away for what you can to position yourself to take Jackson Dart 10 through 15, whenever that is. You take Abdul Carter too. You bring in a veteran this year and you have an open competition for quarterbacking. That way, Jackson Dart wins the quarterback competition. He's your starter and you've got a veteran backup. Or if he needs a little more time in the oven to learn the game, you've got a veteran guy for 1 year. You got Abdul Carter and you've got a dearth of draft picks. I think that's the quickest solution for the Browns to get back at it. I just think because they're the Browns, they're going to muck it up and try to sit on the fence, try to compete, but also try to appease Myles Garrett at the same time.
The quarterbacks I just put on the screen there, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, or draft a starting quarterback in 2025. Who do you think? Put in the comments and why. Which guy? Which quarterback is the guy you want the Browns draft? The thing I look at Daniel Jones, I say no effing way right away, right? But if he's let's say the Falcons know they want to be pricks, right? And they hold on to, and I shouldn't say pricks. They just, all right, we're going to keep Kirk Cousins. Michael Penix is a second-year quarterback. We have Kirk. We don't want to take the cap hit right now. Kirk Cousins is a good mentor. If we need him to start, he can play. We're not dying in the cap situation. We'd like the money, but we're going to keep Kirk Cousins. So if your options are Daniel Jones, Justin Fields maybe, or draft a starting quarterback, does that change anything? See, Kirk Cousins is too pretty because he'd be available like Russell Wilson was for the league minimum. But I don't know if Kirk Cousins is so money hungry, Sam. I don't know if Kirk Cousins takes the league minimum. I think he would want a $10 million deal, a $15 million deal. You assume that he would take a Russell Wilson type contract because he's getting paid by the Falcons already. But I think Kirk Cousins is a dude who would double dip and want more. He has shown that throughout his entire career. Pay me mother effort.
Yeah, look at the money he's earned over his career. And how many playoff victories does he have? One. So, yeah, I mean, the guy's obviously pretty business savvy. So, again, the scenario in which I pitched is the rosiest scenario that I think you could dream up if you're a Browns fan.
Yeah.
But I think the fastest way forward is to move on from Myles Garrett because he's going to bring you an absolute payload of assets.
I think they're going to lose them for nothing. That's the Browns way. I think
they would. That would be exactly what they do.
Yep. Joe Burrow's come out and said he wants to sign an extension to help sign T. Higgins. It's come out recently. I think Craig Carton did it on his Fox show of how many $50 million contracts the Bengals have and how many $50 million contracts the Eagles have. You compare them to the Super Bowl champs. Because the Bengals are saying, Duke Tobin is saying, we can't afford everyone. As my guy Josh pointed out in the comments a couple days ago, you're spot on, Josh. I was right as well when I mentioned there are a bunch of contracts because the Bengals do clean contracts that they can get out of. And if the Bengals choose, they can give Hendrickson the money, give T. Higgins the money, re-sign Jamar Chase. I don't know if you can add. If you're creative, you can. If you're creative, you can even fix the defense. The problem is the Bengals are never creative. But Joe Burrow's come out and said, hey, stretch my contract out. Let's do a contract extension. I'll take less under the cap this year, and we'll kick the can down the road. And he said, I will support this team. I will pull a Patrick Mahomes and take less to get the guys I want, to get my supporting staff, to get the stars done. The problem is Mike Brown is 412 years old. He's the owner. Katie Blackburn is her father's daughter. And I just don't think they know how to run an organization in 2025. Mike Brown, by the way, 89, will be 90 this year. Did you see them in the draft room last year? Did you happen to see any of the videos?
No.
They were celebrating after the pick, and Mike Brown and Katie Blackburn were sitting at a desk to the far end and not saying anything. I don't know how much say Mike Brown has at 89. Now, I think he maybe tries to, But the problem is, I think Duke Tobin's doing the heavy work because I know for the past 5-6 years he's taken more control. I think the problem with that team is the philosophy of being cheap and not giving out the $50 million deals, the $100 million deals is still how they run the organization, because Katie Blackburn and her husband run the business side of the organization. So you might have a new guy doing the draft and running the personnel, Sam, but I think the basic principles of being cheap and how they run the organization remain the same.
Yeah, regardless of who's running it, the balance sheet's not going to change. The numbers are pretty black and white, or in this case, black and red. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I also think the success of the Bengals front office, or the accolades they are given, have a lot to do with falling ass backwards into Joe Burrow. It's funny how a pretty good, or having a franchise quarterback, how good that's going to make your front office look, even if you fell ass backwards right into it.
Yeah, I think they should sell. Katie Blackburn, come on, man. I don't let it go. Sell. Take the money. Take the billions. You could probably make $4 billion for the Bengals. Generational wealth. When your dad passes away, sell the team.
Yeah.
And then you could buy other businesses. You could do whatever you want. I don't. You mentioned it yesterday with Mark Davis. If you do not have outside businesses, it is so hard to run an NFL team.
Well, it makes me wonder, like, when obviously the Davises have owned the Raiders forever, but were they not vetting these owners back? Guys like Mark Davis, guys like or families like the Brown families. Were they not vetting these families back then with the scrutiny they do now?
I think they bought it in the 60s, right? So I don't know. I don't think so. It was an upstart league. Did you remember the first Super Bowl? They had a marching band playing.
I mean, again,
and by the way, he got the Bengals in 1968. So no, I don't think that. And they were in 68. Did they have a Super Bowl, or were they the AFL then?
Don't even know.
The merger.
Not the demographics, the money part of it, the economics of the game of the league has drastically changed since then. But I find it hard to believe that they couldn't scrutinize back then the same way they're doing now. And even if they didn't, if the league understands that how they are running the team, not necessarily in the everyday, operations, but the fact that they have no liquid cash to continue to operate and put a competitive franchise out there, at some point or another, the other owners in the league got to say, hey, maybe we need to nudge these guys out the door and bring somebody in who knows what the hell they're doing and has the money to do it.
I don't think they can do that because they're a blue blood in the NFL. I think they only do that when it's like a
Donald Sterling situation.
Donald Sterling situation. I don't think you can get into that as a sport where you start pushing people out for no good. They're just bad owners. It's not like they, are criminals or anything. They're just, sports needs bad owners, by the way. Paul Brown with the NHL. What happened was, Sam, is Brown had a three-way ownership, or an ownership group. Brown had the third largest stake in the team, but he was the public face of the ownership group because of his association with the Browns. He became GM and head coach, and he had complete control over the football side of it. And so they were in the AFL. They wanted Paul Brown because they needed a face. So it's almost like the AFL said, hey, we want to put a team in Cincinnati. Who can we get to be the face of this team, right? All right, we'll make Paul Brown one of the owners. He's part of the partnership group. Let's get him involved. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they have other owners, don't they? But I just think they have small chunks.
Yeah,
or maybe they own
probably.
Maybe someone can help me out in the comments of how much the Browns own, because there's always little ownership stakes. The Steelers are owned by the Rooneys. Well, there's people who have little stakes,
and there would be ways for that franchise to retain majority ownership of the franchise while getting a cash influx from outside. I mean, that franchise as an asset has matured, or has grown how many thousands of % in value in the 60 years they've owned it. So
Exactly.
It's essentially you'd be cashing out on some of the equity that the asset has
Cash
accrued
out
while
refi.
maintaining the ownership
He
and
locked
getting
it.
a cash influx. So
He locked that bad boy.
it's almost like they don't want to do it. They don't want to put a winner out there, you know?
Well, I think they're just so stubborn in their way of doing things because that's what his dad did. That's how they're going to do it. They're just stubborn. Like, we're not going to do it this way. Do you remember when the Bengals did the Hard Knocks and then Mike Brown was in the meeting? He wanted to take the defensive end and move him to, I got an idea, guys. Let's take this defensive end and move him to tackle. Oh, great idea. Great idea, Mr. Burns. Smithers was there rubbing his back. Great idea.
Now, here's your pudding and enjoy your nap.
Yeah. And by the way, my wife is from Cincinnati. She tried to make my kids Bengals fans. It didn't work. But I like the Bengals. I've gone to many games there. I'm not a Bengals hater. I'm just telling you the reality of how they run their team. There's nothing wrong with honesty. Browns fans used to think for years, Sam, that I hated them when I did sports radio. And I said, you're 3-13 every year. Why the hell would I give you a yogi on the air? You're bad. Now, when you're good, I give you roses and flowers and love on you. When you were 10-6 under Romeo Crennel, I had no negatives. Hooray for you. Good.
Well, and that's the thing.
But if you're bad, I'm going to tell you you're bad. I'm not going to put rose-colored glasses on just to give you a hand.
That's the thing that continues to drive me nuts. As much as I love Myles Garrett and what, you know, I think the city of Cleveland loves him just as much as he loves the fan. You're 3-14 with them last year.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that tells me you're way more than just a quarterback away from being competitive, especially when you had the expectations you did coming into the season.
Common sense would tell you that, right?
I mean, it ain't so common anymore, Torgy.
No, I know. Common sense would tell you that they are more than a quarterback away, but I think Jimmy Haslam, maybe Jimmy Haslam thinks this. Andrew Berry, you kind of turned the franchise around. I mean, kind of a little bit. You deserve one more chance to turn it around. And Andrew Berry said, this is my plan. We're going to get a new quarterback because that's all we need. In the draft, we're going to draft a running back. We got the top pick. I'm going to get Abdul Carter. We're going to have Carter and Myles Garrett on the bookends and improve our defense. And then offensively, we are going to bring in Kirk Cousins, and we're going to draft a running back in round 2. We're going to have Travion Henderson, our running back, in round. You know, they need 2 tight ends too, by the way. They don't have any tight ends in the roster. They don't have any running backs in the roster. But he's going to say,
Njoku go somewhere?
No, they got 1 tight end. They need 2 tight ends. You need a second and a third tight end. Unless they bring in some veteran and then draft someone. But they're going to need a backup. So many teams play 2 tight end sets in today's NFL.
Well, especially the Browns with the way they like to run the ball.
Yeah, and you're going to have to get a running back. Like a starting running back, you're going to have to draft him. Unless you do a retread guy. J.K. Dobbins, I think, has done enough where he doesn't have to take the minimum. Maybe you get J.K. Dobbins in. That'd be good. I'd take that.
Yeah, you mean taking an injury-prone guy to
be in a rotation? I mean, because when he was healthy and on last year, did you see him? He was on.
Oh yeah, but I it's like Trey. I know Trey is tremendously talented, but I also know he gets hurt. I've seen it happen.
Yep.
And I if you're injury prone in college and you go to the pros, guess what? It's going to be augmented. It's like a quarterback. If you're inaccurate in college and you get to the NFL where it's an accuracy passing driven league, you're not going to get more accurate by taking the next level up. It's going to be augmented how inaccurate you are.
By the way, let's end the show with this, Sam, on a Friday. The email sent to me by the Big M podcast. There is something going on now where the Michigan fans have taken on the Menace Army. So it is what it is. This email, by the way, was a few days ago. Punk ass bitches. You are dank like your football team. You suck. 47 likes. You ain't shit. Your podcast sucks. We own you. 5-0 this season. Go blue from the Big M podcast. Hopefully we get more than 47 likes today. So next time he emails us, we can say, you only have 55 likes.
I think what Torg's trying to say is like the damn show and subscribe.
I can't really argue with the guy. I mean,
we're not going to let Michigan beat us at this, are we?
I hope not. Did you see Blue Wolverine showing up the other day?
On our show or on Zach?
No, on Zach's with $100 super chat. I am going to make Blue Wolverine a moderator. He might be our first moderator. I have to do it through the app, and I have to do it during the show.
I think he and Posh are probably deserving of moderator status.
If you get on the bad side of Doreen, you're in trouble. I would never want to get on her bad side.
Asian women are like Italian women to me. They're fiery and they know ninja shit. I don't even want to screw with it.
Yeah,
I'm just a big slow white guy, man.
I never want her mad, dude.
You probably kill me with it. No, never mind.
All right, you ready to end the show?
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody. We're back. You back Monday, Sam? I'm back Monday.
My kid doesn't have daycare, so I should be able to do it, but there may be some interruptions.
I have him run around, pick his nose. It's fine.
I don't want his face on the internet.
Oh,
any more than I already put it out.
Well, put a Spider-Man mask on.
He'd like that.
Have him run around in a Spider-Man mask.
Then he'd be crawling on the walls behind, and nobody would be listening to us. They'd be looking at his goofy ass.
Have you seen the reviews to the new Captain America movie? It is getting crushed. It is getting destroyed. And usually everybody likes those Marvel movies.
I think after they lost everybody after the second Avengers, was it Endgame? I think that's when it kind of went to shit for me.
Yeah. Then Anthony, your Captain America did an interview in France and said, why is his name Captain America?
You know what's funny though is Chris Evans did the same thing. He went out and bashed America.
Did he really?
While on a Captain America marketing tour.
Chris Evans has the acting ability of a pet rock.
Handsome though.
Yeah, it's handsome, but he can't act worth a crap. You got me going now, Sam. Let's get out of here. We'll see you Monday.
See you guys.
Well, of course. I mean, there's nothing better than being American. So, I mean, this is the greatest feeling. If you don't love it, leave it. USA, number